Highly sensitive people who have recognized their own limits and needs and can assert them know one thing for sure. There are things in this world they should pursue, and there are things and situations they should stay away from. If you often have to wriggle out and feel uncomfortable when all of your friends want to go out partying on the weekend, and you sometimes feel like an alien or are often overwhelmed and exhausted, then this survival guide is exactly what you need. Welcome to the Understandable podcast. My name is Robert, and today we talk about the biggest do's and don'ts for highly sensitive people. Maybe you thought you were too sensitive until now, or you would have to adapt to the habits of others. You thought at some point, I will get used to all that partying or this new job or that relationship. But after years, you still feel somehow wrong and you long for more peace and tranquility. You would rather stay at home and read a book. Then you're definitely not alone in this. Based on current research, 1 out of 5 people is more of a sensitive kind. And that is something completely normal. It is just that many highly sensitive people still don't know that they share this specific predisposition. If you're one of them, make sure to check out the previous episode, why many highly sensitive people don't even know their HSP. Therefore, today I like to show you the biggest do's and don'ts of highly sensitive people, which might also help you a lot. We start with number 1, plan enough time for yourself if you're highly sensitive, and never ever skip times of regeneration. This point is by far one of the most important for us highly sensitive people. Perhaps you have already experienced it yourself before. When you don't feel refreshed, you are around people a lot, maybe with your partner, maybe with good friends, and you experience that feeling everything is too much for you and overwhelms you, then you reach a kind of turning point here. At that point, you just feel full completely. You are overstimulated and you may feel like under pressure from inside. You just want to be alone. In this situation, you must assert your own needs precisely. You may not be very empathetic and may act selfishly here. You leave the party, you stop seeing your partner and that day. The overstimulation that triggers that behavior is due to the over-arousal of your central nervous system, especially in social situations or when a lot happens in a short amount of time. This can lead to a temporary overstimulation, and this is what you feel then. Preventing this problem is one of the most helpful things that highly sensitive people can do. And to do this, it is necessary to schedule enough time for yourself, rest breaks, and especially being alone from time to time help the overstimulated nervous system to relax again. Then we have number 2, plan time to leave your comfort zone and don't fall into the avoidance trap. And what you think now, this might sound quite counterintuitive to what I said before, but because these do's and don'ts point exactly in the opposite direction, right? So if you are highly sensitive or primarily introverted and live a secluded life, plan time in which you specifically leave your comfort zone in addition to your rest periods. Don't fall into the avoidance trap by continuously avoiding difficult and overwhelming situations. You may find it very easy to schedule periods of rest, relaxation, and regular abstinence from other people. In this case, you will have no problem recovering from overstimulation of everyday life. However, With too much abstinence, you may fall into avoidance. Maybe you're familiar with this. Social situations and everyday life are not easy for you. If someone asks you to go out on a Friday night, you'd much rather stay home on a couch and read a book. While this decision is perfectly fine because it meets your needs, it should not lead you to shrink your comfort zone one step at every time you decide to stay home. Because that is the avoidance trap. If you go outside less and less and hide from any possible overstimulation, every little contact with the outside world will only become more exhausting and lead to over-arousal in the future much quicker. The balance is particularly important here. If you haven't heard about the avoidance trap yet, I have also made an episode about that. If you haven't heard it yet, listen or watch it. It's number 146. And then we go on with number 3, very important one: set clear boundaries and never ignore your needs as a highly sensitive person. A therapist once explained to me, Robert, we highly sensitive people have a beautiful thing, a beautiful gift that many people today have lost. That is that we still are very close to our own needs. As an HSP, you're probably very good at feeling your own needs inside. And this is because you are very good at picking up your personal needs through strong sensory processing perception. You basically know exactly what is good for you, what you need, and what feels right to you. On the other hand, many highly sensitive people not only sense themselves really precisely, but also constantly try to put themselves in the shoes of other people, to feel out and understand the needs of others, of course. And this often leads to them to take responsibilities for their partner, for their friends and fellow human beings. They then partially lose themselves. And here it is of utmost importance to set personal boundaries. Setting boundaries, asserting their own needs, or compromising with other people is also difficult for HSPs because they often live over-adapted lives as children. Due to that over-adaptation, many HSPs, including myself, of course, have learned that their own needs are not good, that their own needs are bad in a way, or that they overtax other people with their needs, or that they are considered too sensitive because of their needs. For this reason, it is particularly relevant to learn to acknowledge one's own needs and desires. Your needs are perfectly fine. Listen to them, set limits, and if possible, make compromises that take your personal ideas, boundaries, and needs into account. I personally think this is especially important for us HSPs and of course to all other people as well. Have you already identified yourself which were the biggest do's and don'ts you have experienced in your life? Definitely let me know in the comments here on YouTube. And if you don't want to miss any upcoming episodes, definitely subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube, on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen. See and speak to you in the next episode.